But a couple of men who are ahead of the curve, Hans Redeker, Global Head of Forex Strategy at BNP Paribas. Nice to see you, Hans. And Richard Morris, Head of Research at... Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
The question is, will it be a Happy New Year at some stage, in any way, shape or form for this global economy? Are we going to see any green shoots?
Well, our assumption is that there's still a huge underestimation of the economic risk taking place. When I look at our own growth forecast, we're expecting the United States minus 1.8, Europe minus 2.5, Germany minus 3%. And when you compare that to what we see released by the treasuries, then you'll see that our forecasts are below, far below of what had been forecasted by Finance Ministry. So if you look at the UK, we're forecasting there minus 3%. So that actually as well implies that Gordon Brown and the Finance Ministry is by far too optimistic for this country.
But they can't lose, can they, Richard? Because what they do is, if it does turn out to be more optimistic in terms of the actual numbers when they come through, that's okay. So we were right, we got it all wrong, all those pessimistic economists like Hans Redeker got it wrong. But if it does turn out to be worse, they can say, well, it wasn't our fault, you see, it was the global economy. Gordon Brown hasn't exactly taken it on the chin and blamed his own actions, has he?
I think that's the problem, isn't it? I mean, Gordon Brown just keeps losing credibility the whole way through, and this is just getting worse and worse and worse.
But is there something to be said for what it is, the global economy? It's not anything that we've done domestically in the UK.
It's terribly what we've done in the domestic economy. It's absolutely what we've done in the domestic economy. I mean, Gordon Brown has been responsible for creating this mess entirely in the UK. The lending policy has just been phenomenally wrong.
Okay, well that's resulted in a big decline in sterling, but is anything you can see in Europe that has been proactive? I mean, let's face it, they were still raising rates in July.
Yes, that's right. And the most amazing thing happened, when was it, on Tuesday and Wednesday, when the German finance minister, Mr. Steinbrück, said we have to avoid to create another bubble, and US monetary policy might be wrong because that might create another bubble, and that he would be hopeful that the European Central Bank would not follow the Federal Reserve in easing monetary policy that aggressively. So as far as I remember, that's the first finance minister who comes out here and says, well, the central bank should be really tight. And it's really difficult to understand. I guess there's a misconception on the economic risk taking place, because we have a deflationary risk, and with this deflationary risk we have to do everything to avoid this. And within the political class you have not really the sort of understanding that is required to take us out of this mess. Now when they're saying there's a risk of creating another bubble, I guess if you are seeing this deflationary threat currently taking place, you have to work on the asset-liability ratio. And that is the only way out of this. And if people are saying there's the risk of another bubble, then I would say, well, if another bubble would be created, it might be initially a good thing, because you can then deal with that from a central bank point of view. If you're early enough, you can tighten and so forth, but at least you avoid the meltdown of this economy. And there are some politicians still underestimating this risk, and Pierre Steinbrück does belong to this class. You just need to remember, as it was in September, as people started to talk about a recession in Germany, he was saying it would be irresponsible to talk about this, right? And only a couple of months later to say we need to have some institutions to forecast this. We need to have some leading indicators. So there's a big contradiction taking place.
Blame the politicians, blame the strategists, blame the journalists for being too pessimistic. Richard, we'll get your take on this as well in a few moments' time.